So, I just finished watching the new Nijisanji waves some time ago, and I thought they were pretty alright. Victoria Brightshield got me all gap moed with how her voice is cute and calm, and almost a complete contrast to the expectations her chuny design lets off. Claude's voice is one that I think will genuinely set off female Nijisanji fans. You can genuinely tell that because the dude's into voice acting, and he's going to fit in well with the rest of the Nijisanji boys. Kuna is like a less horny version of Scarlet and just as much as a gremlin. Overall, they were pretty alright, but I imagine a lot of you guys don't really care about that. You just want my opinion to reinforce yours and validate the opinion that you already have. Or maybe, get someone to corroborate with your observations. Which I am going to do. Because that observation is that Nijisanji is losing a lot of steam. People are losing interest in their future waves in the EN branch, and I think everybody knows why. But before I do that, I'd like to tell you guys first that this is not a video complaining for the members' behalf or making fun or being inflammatory against Nijisanji EN or the new members. Again, just articulating an observation that everyone knew was gonna happen. Now, the highest viewer count for their debut stream was on Claude for 30k views, with everyone else having a little less than him, and this isn't surprising, because he's a hot-looking male and Nijisanji's male members are what the branch is known for. And one look at this and you might think, hey, that's pretty good, still above Holostars in some way, but pretty good regardless. And it is, still way better than it was before Luxium, don't get me wrong. People have to remember that Hololive's instant 100k and 6 view live debut viewership is not the standard. They're the outlier, the anomaly. I say this not to suck on the dick of Hololive's brand power, but more so to let people know to calm the fuck down. I just feel like Hololive warped the perception of a lot of people and getting them to think that even getting near to Hololive's numbers should be the norm. That anyone else that doesn't even get close to it is irrelevant. It's impressive and insane to do that, but it shouldn't be what people consider the standard. But while I say that, I would still say that the decline from last year and this year has been considerably massive for Niji EN. These are the peak viewerships of all Niji EN members last year, and these are the peak viewerships of this year. And seeing this, a lot of people may not be surprised. After all, viewership is down for all industries and agencies. The VTuber scene is experiencing a stabilizing or plateauing phase, where after all the hype and novelty dies down, the visitors and casuals gets rooted down to only watch clips or get disinterested eventually, and the more invested and interested fans remain and become the regulars. But while that is true, in Nijisanji's case, that plateauing or stabilization phase is coming in faster than everybody else in the big corpo sphere. VShojo is gaining its momentum with their recent poaches, and Hololive only seems to be getting stronger, especially with the debuts of the new EN wave. But as you can see from Nijisanji, neither of those is the case. However, those following the happenings of the agency and the industry might think that this should be a special case, because the two recent Nijisanji waves were bathed in a lot of drama. Crisis followed Mirai Gundo's termination and debuted at the peak of the Nijisanji hate train, and had their own set of drama with the 4chan leaks that only served to imply a lot of things that those in the know were already aware of. It pretty much reinforced the tomfoolery going on with their management. For reference, I have the highlight video right here. Meanwhile, this new recent wave, while not launched at the peak of the Nijisanji hate train, launched literally after the Madara and Kuro poach, which happened to be former Nijisanji members. This group also had their fair share of drama, with the trailer re-upload on Twitter because the audio was shit and they were only given 2 days worth of hype since their trailer and announcement. So I also kinda imagine that plays a small part as well. Because usually, the Niji EN members are given double or more than that to let the news reach as many people possible without making people wait too long. But while I would say those circumstances affected the wave's growth in some way, I would think that the effect is minute and not exactly the main reason why this happened. The audio trailer being scuffed is a nothing burger drama. It isn't gonna be enough to turn too many people off from checking them out. In fact, even the 4th missing member from Crisis wouldn't exactly turn people off either. Both those circumstances were funny as a spectator, but again, it's not exactly significant in affecting their growth. No, this rapid plateauing was an aspect of Nijisanji I talked about in my Absolute State video, where in this company, the first movers or those that peak and gain the momentum are the ones that truly matter and reaps the big rewards. But those that get in relatively later are those that don't really benefit much. And it's an aspect of the company that, although is very beneficial for the agency itself because of its triangular business model making sure that the top part is getting the profits, it affects those that get in and the company relatively too late. The budget gets too thin, and being unable to really reap a lot of the rewards. It's a business scheme that a lot of people don't like here in this industry because it leads to problems that people disdain, such as favoritism, neglect, mismanagement, and all kinds of shit. Literally watch this video so you can get a long version. But the short version is that essentially, it comes with the price of goodwill and faith, especially since this is an industry that is parasocial heavy and has people as their products. And while a vast majority of people aren't even generally aware of all the drama or even give a shit about it, it's still going to have its slow and gradual effects that will ultimately lead to the decline of interest via word of mouth. Basically, one reason why this faster rate is happening is because people are tired of the bad cloud hovering above Nijisanji. Whether that be because of their talent management or whatever, a lot of people's views on Nijisanji has been tainted where they associate the agency in the EN side of things as the darker part of agency culture in the industry. People look at VTubers to enjoy things and to generally have fun. And while most Nijisanji EN fans are actually doing that, those tainted with the knowledge of these happenings find difficulty in bringing themselves to wholeheartedly have that fun anymore, knowing what they know and hearing what they heard. They can't bring themselves to support the agency. And these sentiments don't come from anyone else aside from the Nijisanji fans, and these sentiments don't come without good reason. If you follow the news and the information going out of the VTuber scene around Nijisanji as of late, you probably are very much aware of the bad stuff that's going on around there for months. But while I say all of these as one reason, I think it's really only a small reason, because again, the bigger cause is the systematic nature of their company structure. This was designed to happen. Not intentionally, of course, just that it was a natural path of their business model. While it's very evident that Nijisanji has slowed down its rapid-fire launch model, it doesn't really help with the feeling that the roster is very much large and the community is feeling saturated. Niji EN has around 30 plus members now. Community cannibalization happens to every agency and community that has a built-in audience, but in Nijisanji, that cannibalization is way fiercer due to more members, making that plateauing happen even faster. The Niji EN fanbase seems generally exhausted and simply struggle or refuse to keep up with the new gens aside from their clips or interactions with their Oshis. People have settled in with their favorite VTubers and simply can't be bothered to go out of their way to actively look at other people anymore, even within Niji EN. I truly think this effect peaked and declined after the launch of Iluna, because numbers-wise, Iluna was the best performing debut of the entire branch ever, built upon the success of those that came before, and after that, it just seemed like Nijisanji didn't really have much to offer anymore. After all that party, the novelty started to die, not because Iluna as a whole was bad, but more so because Iluna represented everything Nijisanji had to offer going forward, and what they had to offer wasn't really much anymore. VTuber generation's numbers and hype started declining, instead of building momentum. In part because Nijisanji wasn't really doing anything new or innovating or doing anything interesting to market their new members or even have unique spins on the generations themselves. Again, let me reiterate that as a business model, this works well. In fact, well enough to not just keep the company afloat, but to keep profits rising for the next years going forward. But for the individual VTubers that join, the appeal of Nijisanji's promise becomes a lot less appealing. Without anything new done to the branch or the agency, or any interesting and unique takes that helps them truly stand out, there's not gonna be much interest for future generations. So the question would be on whether or not Nijisanji will continue losing momentum as rapidly as they are now. And that really depends if they manage to either find a new fanbase they can capitalize on, or even remove the goodwill of many fans and remove that dark cloud over their heads. The latter option is a bit more difficult to pull off due to the current drama around them this year, and what with VShojo having some rough political thing going on against them. You have to understand, Kuro and Bandara's appearance in VShojo humiliated Niji EN as a branch, even if the two members' reasons for graduating wasn't necessarily because they loathed being in the agency. If all the drama of the previous months was a knife stab, these two was the knife being twisted, especially considering that those former Niji EN members are saying things that has a lot of bad implications for Niji EN. Hell, even outside those two, the other ex-Niji EN members doing some not-so-subtle jabs at the company is not a good look. Unless those that gave up on the agency can genuinely hear good news and not just the frustrations of the members, I don't think many of that lost demographic will easily come back and give them another chance, even if they think that they've been too harsh on the agency. It's either that, or getting new members that can change their game, pull off something unique, and find a new demographic to capitalize on. It's not impossible for Niji EN to come back from this, it's just very difficult for them right now. They can still be revitalized, it's just that they have to be very smart about it. Easier said than done, of course, I recognize that more than anyone. It's not like I have any ideas, but hey, if VShojo was able to lift their reputation from the gutter, I imagine Nijisanji EN can also do the same. Although, VShojo lifted their reputation at the expense of the EN branch, so they kinda have to figure that out themselves. And if they can't do that, they seem doomed to continue on this trajectory, pumping out waves that will have fewer and fewer numbers. Numbers that, although is still better than a 2-view indie, is still a massive far cry from the financial success and cohesive management that they can promise. Nijisanji EN isn't going to die anytime soon, despite all the uncritical negativity and the doom posting. At least, I don't think so in the same way people think. Hell, the main branch is doing fine, literally no problem right there. That's why I go out of my way to specify Nijisanji EN and not Nijisanji the company as a whole. Because the EN and Western VTubing has seemed to have peaked and can't go any significantly further than this. At least, the EN and Western VTubing in their end, because Hololive seems to be doing fine. If they have planned for new changes or finally delivering on missed promises or genuinely improving, we can't exactly see those changes until a couple months from now. Hell, Nijisanji EN members are in Japan right now doing some stuff, and I hope those stuff can at the very least get some people to have fun and get some projects going, making good use of their time and turn the uncritical hate into determination. People on the outside looking in only see and want to see the results to change their opinion, and can't exactly see the process. So for now, I'd say we'll have to wait and see. At least, I will. While a lot of people get the idea that I fucking hate the Nijisanji EN branch, I really do not. I don't have a horse in this race, I didn't get striked like Kyowa Falls. Similar to many people's experiences, I simply just lost faith in them because of all the yabs, and it's going to be a struggle for me to start respecting that branch as a whole again. Though that doesn't mean it's impossible for me to like them, or that I'm not open to see and recognize their attempts to improve and see genuine changes. I mean, hey, I lost my respect for Hololive back in late 2020 and early to mid 2021 due to the Coco drama. And here I am now gargling on their cocks and drinking their cum, and spitting on their face with their own semen occasionally if I think they deserve it. And if Hololive and VShojo can do that, I see no reason Nijisanji EN can't. No pressure, of course. Overall, the agency is still a decent pick for most aspiring VTubers. It's going to be better if you're a random 2-view at least. Despite the losing interest and relatively dwindling numbers, Nijisanji's name still brings in interest and prestige. They can get you the connections, the community, the resources, and the opportunities you couldn't as a small indie. Just enough for you to live relatively stable as a content creator, even if your numbers aren't the way that you picture them to be. The dream is not as good as they sell it to you, as it is a case-by-case basis, but depending on your circumstances, it could be better than what you currently have if you're not a popular or mid-range VTuber. In any case, that's really about it. See ya!